On January 26, 1972, a young flight attendant named Vesna Vulović reported for work at JAT Yugoslav Airlines, completely unaware she was about to become part of one of the most impossible survival stories in human history. Flight 367 was a routine DC-9 aircraft scheduled to fly from Stockholm to Belgrade. Vesna wasn't even supposed to be on this flight. The airline had mixed her up with another flight attendant who had the same first name, but she didn't argue. She just boarded the plane. The aircraft took off without incident. Everything seemed normal. 22 passengers and 6 crew members settled in for what should have been an uneventful journey. Vesna moved through the cabin, serving drinks and meals, chatting with passengers. Just another day at work, 33,000 feet above the ground. But at 4:01 p.m., as the plane flew over the mountains of Czechoslovakia, something went catastrophically wrong. A briefcase bomb, planted by Croatian terrorists, detonated in the forward cargo hold. The explosion was devastating. The DC-9 literally broke apart in mid-air. The fuselage tore into pieces. Passengers still strapped in their seats were ejected into the freezing sky. Debris scattered across miles of snowy mountains below. Everyone on board was doomed. Or so it seemed. Vesna was in the rear of the aircraft when the bomb exploded. One moment, she was in the galley preparing a food cart. The next moment, there was a thunderous bang, a violent rush of air, and then nothing but chaos and the scream of wind. The plane disintegrated around her. She found herself tumbling through the air, still trapped inside a piece of the fuselage. Her section of the aircraft, with her pinned inside, began its fatal plunge toward Earth. 10 kilometers, 33,000 feet, a fall that should have ended only one way. What happened next defies every law of probability. The piece of fuselage she was trapped in crashed into a heavily forested, snow-covered mountainside at a steep angle. The trees acted like a series of natural breaks, slowing the debris as it tore through branches. The snow provided a cushioning effect, and somehow, impossibly, the wreckage came to rest with Vesna still inside. A villager named Bruno Honke, who had served as a medic in World War II, was the first to reach the crash site. He heard moaning coming from the twisted metal. Inside, he found Vesna, still strapped in her seat, critically injured but alive. She was screaming. Bruno immediately began administering first aid, keeping her alive until proper medical help could arrive. He later said that his wartime medical training was the only reason he knew what to do. Without him, she would have died within minutes from her injuries. Vesna was rushed to a hospital in a coma. Her injuries were catastrophic. A fractured skull, 2 broken legs, 3 broken vertebrae, a fractured pelvis, multiple broken ribs. She remained in a coma for 27 days. Doctors didn't think she would make it through the first night. But she did. When she finally woke up, she had no memory of the crash, the explosion, or the fall. Her last memory was greeting passengers as they boarded. Everything after that was completely blank. Her mind had erased the trauma entirely. Her recovery took 16 months. She had to learn to walk again. The injuries left her with permanent physical limitations. But against all medical expectations, she survived. The Guinness Book of World Records officially certified her fall as the highest survived fall without a parachute in human history. 10,060 meters, 33,030 feet. No one has ever survived a higher fall. Investigators eventually pieced together what happened. The combination of factors that saved her life was almost impossible to replicate. Being trapped in the fuselage section, the angle of descent, the forest slowing the impact, the deep snow, her position in the wreckage, and sheer, inexplicable luck. 27 people were on that flight. 26 died instantly or during the fall. Only Vesna survived. Scientists and aviation experts have studied her case for decades, trying to understand the physics of her survival. Some have theorized that she was in a state of unintentional hibernation during the fall, which may have slowed her metabolism and reduced injury. Others point to the debris acting as a crude protective shell. But the truth is, no one really knows why she lived. Vesna returned to work for JAT Airlines, Though not as a flight attendant, she worked desk jobs for the airline until her retirement. She was treated as a national hero in Yugoslavia. She received recognition from around the world, but she never wanted to be famous for surviving. She just wanted to live a normal life. In interviews years later, she said she held no fear of flying. She said the real miracle wasn't that she survived the fall, but that Bruno Honke happened to be there, happened to have medical training, and happened to reach her in time. Without him, the record would have meant nothing. Vesna Vulović died in 2016 at the age of 66 in her apartment in Belgrade. She had lived 44 years after a fall that should have killed her instantly. Her survival remains one of the most extraordinary and unexplainable events in aviation history. 10 kilometers, no parachute, one survivor. The woman who fell from the sky and lived to tell a story she couldn't even remember.